Have roll call, please.
Mrs. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Gus?
Here.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Here.
Mrs. Smith? Here. Mr. Winkler?
Here. Let's rise for invitations. They stand for pledge of allegiance. I have prepared tonight. Dear Father in heaven, we come to you today and we thank you for this beautiful day. Today, Lord, we commit this meeting to you as we discuss the affairs of the school district. We ask that you guide and direct us to make the best decisions possible for students, teachers, staff, and administration. May this meeting be productive and the desired outcomes be achieved. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we're down to approve of the agenda. Is there any amendments or anything? If not, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, voting is open. Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Winkler?
Yes.
Mr. Gus?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Motion carried. Any public participation in anything?
I do not have any.
None? We're down to superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. I'll go through the cabinet first. Linda O'Connor first. You want me?
She's behind you.
Oh, she's behind me. Oh, right. Okay, you're up.
Oh, that was quick.
Good timing.
Good timing. Okay. Just a couple of bullets for updates here. One is I wanted to give you an update on the OSCC. They have almost completed their enrollment numbers, but they had a question on concentrators. And Stephanie has given me an updated list, so I'm getting back to them on this last year on juniors and seniors by program. As that's done this week, we should be able to move forward with them. The other update is for Ron and Greg at the last meeting for the Adult Education at the Innovation Center. They recommended that we have a meeting with county commissioners to highlight our program, which we plan on doing during the week of in-demand jobs, which is May 3rd to May 7th. And we're combining that with a signing program. I don't know if, Mark, if you talked about that, but kids getting apprenticeships.
Yeah.
And they want to get the lieutenant governor out there to highlight Monroe County, and we can combine all that at the same time during that week. So we're waiting to get a date for that. And my last point here is the ARC Power Grant that we're writing for, which is $1.5 million. I'd like to introduce to you Brenda Hopp from the Governor's Office of Appalachia. She's going to talk about the Power Grant and the application.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Thank you.
I'm really glad to have the opportunity to discuss it with the board. The Power Grant is an Appalachian Regional Commission grant, and you can write from a minimum of $400,000 to the top amount of 1.5. I'm really pleased that Linda and the team is going for the full amount, $1.5 million. To give you an overview, this is a competitive grant. There's 13 states that were eligible to apply, as long as they were in an Appalachian region. Letters of intent had to be filed by March 5th. This team got theirs in plenty of time. I was really pleased to see it come through early. 268 people did apply, or groups, across the 13 states. In Ohio, 42 were submitted. But as of this morning, I know 3 of those will not be completing the application. So we're down to 39. Of those 39, 6 are going to be broadband and 10 are planning, which are just 50,000. So it's even less for Ohio. Director John Perry, I talked with him yesterday. He was very pleased that I was going to make the meeting tonight. He just wanted me to express gratitude for allowing this group to submit it. I did meet with the team. We toured the Innovation Center. As a former high school principal, I'm envious of what your students have. That is state of the art. And the grant will provide, my understanding, and I haven't read the complete grant yet, is to involve the manufacturers of the region. So when these students graduate, not only will they have the skills, they'll go into a job, a good paying job, in their community, or start their own business. You know, we're entrepreneurs in Appalachia. So our students getting a head start is just a win-win for everybody. Again, the grant's due next Friday at 5 p.m. It is electronic submittal, and it will shut down at 5. So Linda's assured me it's going to go in before Friday, which is good. They expect to make the award announcements in September or early October. Last year, the application that was submitted was not funded, but was right on the line to be funded. We saw the list. And, you know, the cutoff of money was right there. So we're very hopeful, fingers crossed. We just don't know what the other grant people are sending in, but it will be funded. One thing that it asks for is match. Your match is 20% because of the distressed county. Linda will have the grant. And she showed me a letter from a local business pledging $250,000 in kind. Linda, was that right?
Yes.
I read it quickly.
$250,000.
I think that's huge, and as a former grant reader, that would catch my eye, because you have commitment from the business community. So they will ask for letters of support to be attached to the grant, and I also spoke with Linda about a letter. I believe your team may be asking the board for endorsement.
Yes, for resolution.
A resolution. I think having a resolution from the board attached to the grant proposal simply lets the people know, besides reading the grant, that the Board of Education supports it. And I've got to say, I'm impressed with the innovation that you're doing here. I'm from the southern part of the state, if you know where Lawrence County is. It's rural too. So this is, you know, for me, this could be a role model for other rural counties if you're successful. So if you have any questions about the grant, this is my second year working for the Director Carey out of the Governor's Office of Appalachia. I'm a retired educator. I won't tell my age, but 48 years in K through college. So I kind of understand education. I understand grants. If you have any questions at all, I'm here to answer them. But again, I'm just very pleased that you're submitting.
20%, how much is that for us?
$300,000, which they already have $250 from one company for in kind. Match can be cash, can be equipment, or it can be in kind. You're not asking for any cash from the board.
We have $250,000 from a company and $50,000 in kind.
In kind. So this is I think, a real opportunity for your students, and you should be extremely pleased with the grant team and what they put together.
As you said, what an exciting opportunity for our kids.
Oh, if it's successful, I want to be back in New Orleans. I mean, just seeing their plans and an opportunity. You know, we have to sometimes make opportunity for our students. I've done a lot of reading and research, and we lose some of our best and brightest because they leave for jobs. The jobs need to stay here. I'm a true believer that.
Now, this says over duration of your program.
Yes.
That doesn't say they'll get it right up front, right?
It's a 3-year grant.
3 years.
Yeah.
It's a 3-year grant.
Yeah, but I mean, when we got to match it up front, don't we?
No. You put in the grant a third, a third, and a third. It will be pending over 3 years, committed for a 3-year period. It's 36 months grant.
Now, this is just for students. This ain't for adult ed or anything, right?
Well, the equipment, once it's purchased, I think the district can make that decision. I think adult ed would be.
Well, I mean, is this grant tied in? What's it tied into?
It's for workforce, to train students of all ages for workforce. But you have high school as well, the adults, I'm sure, that need. The grants have different components. Some are writing for substance abuse, some are writing for tourism, majority are writing for workforce.
Workforce.
But again, if it's awarded, you won't hear till late September, most likely, or early October. And it can, time period is 36 months once all the documents are signed. Thank you for your question, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? It is a federal grant. And I think they're going to like it because school districts are used to dealing with finances and making sure everything's, you have to, live in that world. Some organizations may not have the capacity to do that. Linda, is there anything else I'm missing?
Besides, John Kerry's, passion for Monroe County.
Yeah, I talk with John Kerry weekly, and he brought me on board. Not all states have consultants like me. There actually are two of us. Jay Bennett is my colleague. He does broadband, and I know he's worked in your district as well. He's ill tonight. He had his second COVID shot yesterday and not feeling too well today. Director Kerry came into his office and looked at the federal money that was coming and said, why is the Ohio not getting more? And basically, they didn't have any support staff to help them put their grants together. So he brought me on board as well as Jay. And our job is to consult, offer suggestions, make sure you filled out the forms correctly. Because, you know, you can get a grant application kicked back if you've got a wrong number. It's just so crazy how it works sometimes. So Jay and I work with all 40-some applicants for this round, and then we will be starting on the next round, the Inspire grant next week.
What's the cost of the district?
Nothing. In kind,
Right.
people that are already working.
Okay, but I mean, you're saying you're going to get up to $250,000. Do we have to match that or anything to start this program?
No, that is our match.
That is your match. That company is pledging that much for in-kind match.
So you're saying it's not gonna cost the district anything?
You don't have any money coming from the district in your grant, do you? The only thing they have would be, people already working, would be devoting time to, for the programs up and running.
Were you done with your point, Brenda, about John Kerry's passion for Monroe County?
Oh, every time we talk, he asks me about the distressed counties especially. He's very concerned about the young adults. He wants them to have every opportunity. And when he looked and Ohio wasn't getting the money he thought we should, he asked Jay and I, we both were retired. He could come out of retirement, this is part-time, and support people to put together good applications. And last year, ARC did say they saw much better quality going in. It wasn't that we were writing them, that's not our job. Our job is to review and give suggestions. The thing about this grant is they were so good last year that they took the comments back and were able to tweak, hopefully meet everything they were expecting. Very competitive grant, I'll be honest. You're limited to 15 pages narrative, and then your support letters and your budget sheet. It's hard to put everything in 15 pages. That sounds like a lot, but it's really not. Yes, Director Terry he was thrilled with the telemedicine grant came through. He actually had a conversation with us that day to tell us that it was going to be a go. And I know he's going to have his fingers crossed hoping this gets through. I should say these grants are read 4 times. The state of Ohio will read all Ohio grants, and any other state that offers Ohio department. Another state will read all Ohio grants. An ARC person in DC will read, and then a workforce person will read. They'll take all 4 comments and scores to decide the final award. So it's not just one person decides. I think it's a fair way of doing it, and, we just don't know who the grant leaders will be. But we know the function, where they're from, the area they're from, expertise. Are there any other questions about the grant itself? Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Linda, anything else?
No, I think that's it for now.
Can I ask something with this grant? What are you gonna get?
Well,
What are the programs?
Yeah.
The manufacturing, chemical operator, welding, expanding it to electrical trades, some lift, train operation, so it's, heavy equipment in there. Programs we have plus expanding those programs. for workforce development.
Well, I got a question. The chemical engineering class, you guys just advertised a green tab and that, it's supposed to take place. How many we got registered for that now?
So James speaking?
I'm sorry, what was the question
The
again?
chemical engineer, I seen in the green tab, the number, the cost was sealed. New chemical engineering class you're going to start having?
How many kids are in the class?
No, how many, you advertise for adults. How many is in there now? How many signed up to take that class?
Well, we're starting in June, so we're advertising everything. I'm sure you've seen it in the paper and everything.
Yeah, that's
So
what
we're doing a media blitz per se to advertise for June, and as Linda was talking about, we're going to advertise to the commissioners and everything else the first week of May as well, to show them the everything that we have going on.
Yeah, but that still didn't answer my question. I said, how many signed up so far?
Some people registration's back yet, Lee.
Yeah, we're getting applications for June, so we still have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but how many signed up so far? Did anyone sign up yet?
Yeah, in the
Okay.
fall we had 6. I've given.
I know, I didn't say that. I say this new class coming up.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
For the one coming up.
Did the one coming up, just answer me, how many did you sign up
We
yet?
have 1 student signed up as of now,
Okay, one, okay.
with a couple months left of advertising.
That's all I ask. I didn't
That's
want,
fine.
yeah.
Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your visit, Brenda. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you. Great.
Okay, next up, Mr. Clutter.
Yes, Mr. Caldwell, yes.
You have anything?
No, everything's been rolling along really good in transportation. We haven't had any major issues. Bus drivers are doing a great job keeping up with the kids and keeping buses clean and everything. So everything on this side is doing well. Thank you.
Any questions for Jason?
Yeah, Jason, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
We got enough subs now or not?
We're doing okay. I mean, we never have enough subs, but I mean, we've done really good this year. We've got probably half a dozen or so that they've been really reliable, helping with trips, jumping in, covering bus routes. Of course, the mechanics and myself, we always jump in wherever we're needed at. But really, I mean, we've really been doing really good this year so far.
So then, our sports trips, you're able to cover all them, right?
Yeah, I think there's only been throughout the whole year, when we were running basketball, boys and girls, we got a little up against it there. And I think there ended up being, because you got high school, all 3 of the high schools, and then with the junior highs, I think there ended up being maybe 2 trips out of all of them that we couldn't cover. But as far as baseball, softball, everything, track that we're doing right now, we've got everything covered so far. So yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes, thank you.
All right, next, Mr. Cosner?
Yeah, I've got one thing for the board. I'd like to request an intervention specialist for the primary K-4 self-contained classroom at Powhatan. This will be for next school year. And right now, I received a list from Mr. Housley. We have 6 students that are going to be eligible right now, 2 first graders, 2 second graders, 3rd graders, 4th graders. Plus, we also have some kindergartners coming in that they're projecting possibly may be there. So we're looking at an additional 2 to 3 students. Not to mention, there may be others who qualify special education evaluations. So the classroom will be at least 6 or 8 to begin with, and we may end up with 10 or 12 in there, and that probably is about the maximum they will handle. But again, it's for next school year, but I would like to post it soon so we can get that rolling, because there may be in-house people that want to bid on it, then would have to repost their position, what I'm hearing right now. So
Snowball effect.
yes, so right now, if we can get that going this way, maybe by May or June, we'll have the person to get this started. This actually was a classroom we had previous to the behavior classroom. Took the teacher that was in the behavior classroom now, we took her from this position, moved her to that. We never filled it. So it's actually, I guess it's a fill-in. It's not really a new FTE, but depends how you look at it. Anybody have any questions for me about that or anything else in special education? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have an outside guest, Mr. Jeff Ramberg from Ramberg, Stover and Associates. He has worked with the OSBA in the past. We wanted him to present what he could offer in looking into our admin compensation packages. So we have him as a guest, and I wanted him to elaborate a little bit and then ask questions. Thank you.
Good evening. How are things? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure you could hear me. And it's my understanding you received our proposal. Is that
Yes.
correct?
That
Okay.
is correct.
Dated March 25th. So I'd be happy to walk through that with you and answer any questions you have about the work that we're proposing, about our firm, anything that comes to mind. And again, appreciate your time. So we were asked to develop a proposal, which we've sent to you, to conduct, if you will, a salary study, where we would review the salary levels of all of the non-union staff in the district. And ultimately, as a result of that review, provide some recommendations in terms of an updated salary schedule that would cover all of those positions. The project would begin with collecting data. We have some already, but we'll need more. We do kind of have a list today of employees and titles and that sort of thing, but we'll want to get job documentation, organization charts, all of us, just to get us up to speed and smarter about what's going on in Switzerland of Ohio local school district. The next step would be to identify a target set of schools where we would want to do an analysis or a survey. And so that's a list that we would work with you on to make sure we're all comfortable with. This is a good list of districts with which to compare that we believe represents kind of a fair set of districts in terms of what's our market and districts we want to compare our salaries to. And ODE gives a similar list of districts, so we can use that as kind of a foundation or basis and work from there. But in the end, it's really important that we're all comfortable with these are the districts that we'd want to include in this analysis. So we then would develop a survey, which we would send to those targeted districts. probably using some simple thing off of Google Forms or what have you, just to make it easy. That's become pretty popular, particularly with Ohio districts where we have been doing surveys. We would follow up with each of those districts to answer questions, to encourage participation. It's a pretty good fraternity and sorority among Ohio schools, but sometimes they need a little encouragement to participate, and that's will be an important part of our task to make sure we get a strong response back. Any questions we have, data that doesn't make sense, we always follow up with the districts to make sure that they understood. And by the way, when we send out the survey, in addition to asking for specific salary information, we also provide to each of those targeted districts a summary description of your positions as Switzerland of Ohio local school district. And the importance of that is to try to make sure we're getting apples and apples. So we ask them, do you have a job similar to this? And here's what the job is defined as, and the responsibilities are at Switzerland of Ohio. And if you have a job that matches up, then report it. If you don't have a job, you obviously don't respond. So that's a real important aspect. Always a challenge in doing these surveys is to make sure we have good job fits or job matches. So we would ultimately compile all of that data and do an analysis, including a comparative analysis that says, how do we stack up with these other districts? And we would then use that data to develop for you a recommended salary schedule, which would be a set of pay grades and salary ranges with positions slotted in those grades and ranges based upon the market and any internal equity considerations that are important at Switzerland of Ohio. So the market may say one thing, but in our district, this job's a bit different, or we place greater or less value, and so we might not follow that market exactly. And that's a process we go through with the district to make sure we ended up with something that's going to work for you. We would also develop a salary progression plan. That simply means if we now have ranges, how do employees move through those ranges? So how do their salaries get adjusted? What's the basis for that, the frequency of that? So you can use this as a living system and tool on an ongoing basis. And frankly, to help make it a lot easier with which to make salary decisions on an annual basis or whatever your cycle is. I presume it's annual to review salary levels. So we give you the ranges, the structure, the progression plan, and then as importantly, we look at where we are today with salary levels in our staff in the district and how are we going to implement these new ranges that are being proposed and what's the right procedure process to do that. What if someone's way below the pay ranges? How do we move them up over what time frame? What if someone's salary is above the ranges? How do we handle that situation? All of that we would develop and provide for the district so you have a clear map. And finally, we put this together in a report, a final document with all of the spreadsheets and tools that you would want to need to use this information on a going forward basis. So that's a real quick sketch of the work. And be happy to respond. This work plan, by the way, is quite typical. I think we gave you in our proposal a list of, I don't know, 30, 35 schools in Ohio that we've worked with. And this would be the traditional approach we would follow to help develop a salary system for you. And again, it's to really help you make sure we're being fair and equitable with our staff. And we've got something that is in fact is efficient and makes these regular decisions easier and can serve as a guideline for you. So if you create a new position in the future, how do we place the job into this new structure? These sorts of tools and guidelines will be helpful, if nothing else, to save you hopefully a lot of time and knowing that you're doing the right thing and you're being as fair and competitive as you can be. And by the way, also in all of this, as we think about building salary structures and salary ranges, is the important consideration of what are our financial resources as a district and what is it we can afford to pay. It doesn't make sense to develop a system that you can't afford, so that won't happen. We'll make sure that whatever we develop is in fact aligned with, you know, your financial resources and as well even your philosophy as to how competitive you want to be or choose to be. So I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Hey, Rob, how about getting Cindy Braille's butt right in here right now? I'm upset with this. Get her in here. She's the one who wrote this. Get her in here. I want her to hear what I have to say.
I don't think she wrote anything.
Hey, her name's on here, Rob. I can read. He
The letter is.
Yeah, we
letters
sent
to her. And you
we
can't see ODE, ODE. Everywhere's ODE coming in here. Rob, you answer me a question right here now.
Yes.
Last meeting, when we talked about administration salary, and we said, who did you say you was going to work this administration salary
I
out?
said I'll reach out to the ESC as well.
Okay, did
And
you?
yes, I did.
Yes, you did, because I was at the ESC meeting afterwards, and they announced that you did, and they were working on a plan. Why did we go get these people $17,000? When we didn't have money in this district, we didn't have money, we did our own. Now we got money, we got all kind of leeches coming.
We don't have to, this is just a proposal.
I know, but why, when last meeting, I don't know, I can't understand. There's so much stuff going in this district, and you know that you should be running this district, not them. I am upset with you, Rob.
This is the gentleman that I got from Mrs. Smith.
Yeah.
That I got from OSBA.
Yeah, because probably because Cindy told you.
So we-
Yeah, don't tell
I'm
me.
not sitting here and letting you accuse me of that. I called
Hey.
OSBA.
I agree, but why-
Cheryl Ryan, she sent me
Yeah, I
his email
understand.
contact.
Yeah.
I phoned him
Yeah.
before the last meeting, and I offered that in executive session.
I'm just
That's
saying
what we
there's,
reached out to.
everything goes on here. This district is going to, you know what?
Okay, well, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
On a lighter note, I seen this afternoon, and within like a half hour, I got 3 text messages. What the heck's this all about? I said, it's just an April Fool's joke. Don't be taking it down after this. Did you forget the secretary and tell her not to take it down, Rob? I mean, we hired an HR person. We hired a business manager. They were supposed to come into this district and help with all this stuff. The only thing they're doing is looking for these consultants and consultants and consultants, and
No,
we got so many
the reason
consultants
we
in this
reached out to
district
Mr.
now, a record amount of consultants.
We've got more people in this district than I ever seen.
What is their job? I thought they
You
would come in and do this
directed
stuff.
Rob to contact
ESC!
where's this guy? I talked about this guy in executive session.
I know you did. And that's when we come up with the plan.
And I said I would reach out to him as well.
And I'm over at the ESC meeting, and I went for myself, not the board. When I go to meetings, I say, I'm here, and you ask any of the board members, I say, I'm here on behalf of myself, and thanks for what the ESC does for our district. Now, I got a question. Do you have trouble with the ESC office? Over there, do you have trouble with them?
What do you mean?
How do you get on with the ESC? Do you think they're good for our district? I'm going to ask every one of them in here.
If I'm honest, for certain projects.
Yeah. Do you like ESC? Do you get along with them? Jennifer? Larry?
Oh, yes.
Jerry? You think ESC? How about you, Sarah? You
It
think?
doesn't matter if I like him or not.
No, I know.
Okay.
Do you think they're doing a good job, Bill?
No, I don't have a
Greg?
problem with
It's not my place to say yes or no to that.
I know.
I don't go to meetings, put my nose in where it doesn't belong.
Yeah, but
The administration's job is bring us things to vote on. If you don't like this, then vote no.
That's the
Simple
reason
as that.
I'm on it.
okay, but I'm just saying it
Discussion
seems.
and action, it doesn't say,
Yeah,
you don't have to tell me where you went and what you did. It's irrelevant.
I know, but I just go to ESC.
We asked Rob to do something. If you don't like it, then vote no, and we can move on from it. We
all
don't
right.
have to have this discussion and berating people and downgrading people in public.
Well,
It's uncalled for.
Did we ask him to consult with these people, Greg? I don't remember.
Sarah brought this person's name up through the call that she made. Rob, to direct Rob.
Executive session.
Now, no, we talked about it.
and executive session.
We talked about it.
And he was directed to.
No, it wasn't this, some guy in Michigan.
Contact
It
to,
wasn't the
This is
company,
the
it was
guy.
the gentleman's name.
Okay.
Which is Mr. Jeff Rambler.
yes, I mean,
The one right there.
Well, that's fine.
Seeing my name on the
I
letter
was-
because he asked me to reach out to him
Yeah.
after your
board directive, and
Right.
that's the conversation that you're seeing.
I actually was under the assumption that ESC was gonna work with you and come
Yeah.
up with solutions. In the past, Rob.
And they will.
In the past,
They're willing.
we had a superintendent and treasurer here, they would get together, they'd come to the board with their recommendations, and we'd say yes or no, hash it out, and they would vote, to approve it.
And
I
that's
don't
what was
know why we
brought
got
up,
all these
and that
extra
was brought to the
people in
last
here.
board, and it wasn't voted
So
in.
you got all these extra people in here, why couldn't you four people get together and hash something out and bring it to us? Why do you wanna spend money all the time? I mean, 17,000 here, 18,000 here, we done spent close to 200,000 on consultants this year already for these so-called people you need.
So is there a proposal from the ESC?
He's never met with them, I
No.
don't believe.
I've talked to them, and they sent information, and actually, I got an email from Andy today.
You agree with spending money like this all the time for consultants? I mean, do you honestly agree with it? I don't.
Do you think we've spent money in other ways that maybe we shouldn't have?
Yeah, but
Okay, but we were focused
what
on
I'm
one
saying
thing.
here is we could use this money for paying these salaries.
Well, but no, you gotta do is vote no.
All right. That's what I'm
I
saying.
mean, I wanted it on there for you to see, to give you the opportunity. I mean,
And isn't a Board of Education supposed to vote what the administration brings to us, not create a
Not if you don't
situation?
agree with it.
Huh?
Not if you don't agree with it. I'm no puppet. I'm not gonna, because they
No,
tell
I'm
me I
saying-
investigate.
I didn't
I
think,
made
you're not
calls
listening,
today.
Jerry, like you never do.
I
I'm
made
saying,
calls today,
does the
to other
administration-
churches and see what they do.
I don't care
Let's
what
listen, man.
calls you've made, it doesn't matter.
It
We're
doesn't
here,
mean, because I wanna see what's
All
going
right,
on.
you're direct dealing then.
Let's go on, I start.
No, I'm not trying to find out what's going on.
It's not your job.
It is my job as a board member to do what's
Okay.
best for this district.
Show me that,
Show
where that's
me.
in your job
Read your
description.
policy.
Read it,
Says
Jerry.
that board members
Read it,
should
Jerry.
do everything possible.
Read
that
where it says the board
should
members
best.
should go into the schools whenever they want to. Read that, show me that where it says that.
Oh, you ain't supposed to visit the school.
Whenever you want to,
They've always visited
Hey,
the school.
wait,
buddy.
I always call ahead. When I go into school, I call the administration. I think some of them sitting out there, they don't tell you. I call them
I'm
when
just saying, if you don't like this, we can discuss it and vote no. It doesn't have to go like this every single time something comes up. It's as simple as that.
But what?
Be adults about it. I mean, seriously, if you don't like it, vote no, then he's gotta go to Plan B,
Okay.
or Plan C, or Plan D. It's as simple as that. I get tired of sitting here in these meetings for hours on end, and nothing's done. I apologize, I'm upset, you wanna be
Yeah.
upset, everybody's always upset.
Yeah.
I'm upset, well, I want this district to run right for the right reasons. If they're not doing it for the right reasons, then they shouldn't sleep at night.
Yeah, I don't, because I think I'll get rid of them. All right, let's go on.
I would like to see both proposals, so I know what I'm voting on.
That's as simple as that. That's what I'm trying to say. If we have to blow things out
the
of
one for
proportion.
Mr. Ramberg is down in new business.
Right, I
Yeah.
know that, but I don't see anything from the ESC.
No one ever asked, probably.
No, they were asked, and they're willing, but I wanted to bring this into your attention as well. Actually, I spoke with Mr. Brooks through an email today, setting up dates to meet.
So why would you bring this tonight? Why wouldn't you wait till you get two offered? Why did you bring this tonight? Like,
Because at
you
the
wanna
last
discuss
meeting,
an action
Mrs.
on it.
Smith brought up this gentleman's name. I think I said it right here. I said, I will contact, we will make contact with him.
You wait till you see contact.
Let's go on, we ain't gonna stay here all night. Come on, let's go on.
Thank you, Mr. Ramberg.
My pleasure. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Rowan?
Yes, sir.
Anything?
Yeah, two things. One, a quick update on the robotics level panic training. We were unable to acquire seats at the end of March for our two instructors. The only place that we could have acquired seats for them would have been at the end of April. And had we done that, it would have pushed us back too hard into May, too close to try and get it in. So we're going to move that to next fall. We'll offer that to the students for the robotics training. Wanted to update you on that. They are currently working with those two instructors on the classes now and getting the seats probably out of Mason, Ohio. Second thing is some good news. Everybody likes good news, right? Met 2 days ago with American Heavy Plates. I went down and met with the vice president, the human resources, the head of human resources, the plant operation manager. And they want to do a partnership with us. We're in talks with them right now. We've got, we're going to take probably multiple students for a tour next week. And we're going to have, there's a good chance we're going to have multiple students on early work placement starting in 2 weeks down there. They want to use our students. They have grown from 32 employees to 89, and they're looking at growing multiple members in the next year. And they want to be a partner with us and do things in the future. Have students again next year, so it's really exciting. That's really good news.
And that's the old canal code site, correct?
Yeah, the old canal code place down there. Let's see. On the bottom end down there, they basically roll. They have the steel net and they cut it, and their service center where they send it out to other places. That's opportunity for our students there. So I just want to report on that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark, on down the agenda, we go in there for $11,000 concrete job around the field house. You want to explain anything about that before you? There's still money in the.
Yeah, and I think Linda could.
I think Linda said there was.
I know Linda keeps track of that, with the money on the budget on that and everything and that. And Linda's out there, but we have.
So I put 11,000 transfer in there again because I don't know. I'll upload that budget, but I'm not sure we don't have any money in there.
Okay.
Better wait and see if there's money in there.
And there was questions about some kind of proposal. Do you have any proposals on there, paperwork documents that the other board members want to do that?
And we'll just bypass that then.
Let me look real quick. Go ahead and go on, I'll look.
Well, next up, we're going to do
Make sure, oh, it's latest, and that's it down, okay. So this time we'll come together. All right, so we were asked at last meeting to bring back numbers after we had our kindergarten registration along with the preschool. And so we have some preliminary numbers for you. In addition, there are a couple pieces of clarifying information that you'll find on the agenda. One of them is preschool priorities for enrollment. The other one is out-of-district open enrollment tuition, which we'll address in the PowerPoint. So I'm going to turn it over to Joy Edgel, who will walk us through those numbers and what we have so far for preschool registration.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. You all are going in and out on me. Am I able to screen share?
Yeah.
Joy, I'm going to let you screen share, which I'll have to make you the host. Okay. So once you're done, please make me the host back. This is Tess.
And I have to go all the way to the bottom to do that, correct, Tess?
What you'll do is you'll click on my name on the right-hand side where it has a list of participants. Okay. And you'll choose make host under the more option.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Can everyone see and hear? Give me a thumbs up or a yes, Jennifer, hopefully. Okay. Perfect. Thank you for having us again. I feel like we've been in all of your board meetings since January just to keep you updated, but we do want to share some exciting news from preschool and kindergarten registration last week. So this first slide is just a recap of what we've already decided. The board has voted to add 3 preschool classrooms for this coming year. They will be kindergarten-ready classrooms operating 4 days a week for students who will attend kindergarten the following year. Tuition is free to all Switzerland students, which is amazing. These additional classrooms are to be added at Bellsville, Powhatan, and Woodsfield. And then the board did ask that we share numbers today to discuss the possibility of adding 2 additional off-site locations. Any questions or fixes to that so that we're all on the same page? Okay. Ann, are you on? Ann, are you on?
I was muted. Darn
That's
it.
okay.
Normally I'm pretty good about that. So
That's okay. Go ahead. This one's yours.
thanks. Joy and I had talked with Jennifer and looked at a priority list for preschool enrollment. We have actually, our enrollment has skyrocketed after you've made preschool free and announced the kindergarten readiness classrooms. So there is a deadline for students that live in the district to fill an application. That deadline is April 14th. We recognize that is next week. We'd like to have as many applications as possible by next week. I'm not saying that it's going to be completely filled by then, fill students in, but we would like as many students as possible, as many applications as possible. So we have an idea how many classrooms, if we would need to open the 2 additional classrooms. So how we are placing students in classes is students have first priority if they want to attend the elementary school in the attendance area in which they reside. After that, we're going to look at students that are applying for intra-district enrollment to another Switzerland elementary school that already have an older sibling attending there or a parent that works in that building. After those students are funneled in, then we're going to look at intra-district open enrollment students for any student wanting to attend another elementary school. So if you have a student that lives in River and wants to go to Skyview, and this is the first child in the family to go, they would fall in that group number 3. Do you have any questions about that part so far?
No.
Okay. So then after those students, that's when we look at the inter-district students. Those are our students coming into us from outside districts. So if we would have a student coming to us from an outside district who has a sibling already approved for open enrollment or a parent that works in the district, they would be placed next. And then we would look at students wanting to open enroll into the district that do not have family or siblings already attending. Do you have any questions about that? And I believe that is closely aligned to possibly your school age open enrollment policy or not?
So that's, that is an item that goes on later.
Is what's capacity with international students?
We're gonna get to that, but that's a great question, and we'll address that too. And then the rationale behind that. Okay, we're ready for next.
Okay. All right. So Jennifer, I think I heard you say you're ready for the next slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. And we can go back to any of these if you think of a question. That's no problem. The next proposal would be for out-of-district tuition. So students requesting to open enroll from out of the district to attend Bright Beginnings in your school district will pay tuition assigned based on financial aid documentation. The maximum would be if they were a full tuition student, $140 per month. Again, those are students from out of your district coming in. The exception would be a fee waiver for any preschool student that's requesting open enrollment from out of district that already has a sibling enrolled from out of district. The sibling must remain open enrolled during the entire year to receive the preschool student free tuition. Does that seem fair and reasonable to everybody? Are there any questions about that?
So how do you do that? Do you have them pay and then you reimburse them at the end of the year? Or how do you do that?
That's a good question. That would be up to the school district. They would fill out the waiver, and assuming that the older sibling was enrolled, they would not pay. Now, let's say that the older sibling unenrolled in November or December. We would be made aware of that, and then we would start charging the younger sibling tuition, assuming they're keeping the younger sibling in preschool. My thought would be if you're taking an older student out, 90 to 95% of the time, you're going to take your younger student also. But if they would leave the younger student and take the older student, at that time, then we would start tuition. Does that make sense?
Well, just the last statement says a sibling must remain open enrolled during the entire school year. But you're saying we would just charge them while they don't have a sibling here. Is that how it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. That's just,
Okay.
That's just the tuition piece of it. So somebody
that
could
isn't-
just say, I'm enrolling a third grader and a preschooler, and then after 2 weeks, they pull the third grader and expect to be free the rest of the year. As long as there's room, the preschooler can stay, but then they would be charged tuition.
Once the older sibling,
Yes, once the older sibling,
Yeah.
if the older sibling left and went back to the home district.
That may just need to be reworded, because it looks, the way I read it was if the older sibling leaves, then you owe for the whole year.
Okay. Yeah, no. So we could reword that to say something that as long as the older sibling is enrolled, the preschool student will attend free. Something like that?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Joy, I
Any other, any other questions on that one? Okay. And Jennifer, tell me if I missed something, because it is cutting in and out for Ann and I know. We're missing pieces here and there. Okay. So we wanted to talk a little bit about our collaboration with your elementary schools to offer a joint kindergarten and preschool registration. This was very successful. I felt on our staff's part and your staff's part, it was great to build collaboration. We were able to talk, we were able to have discussions about students right in real time. We did register 34 students just during those 2 days of March 30th and 31st. It also allowed families just a chance to meet us, to turn in paperwork and ask general questions, even if they didn't want to fill out an application at the moment. So these are our numbers of where we registered just for those 2 days. Bellsville was 7, Powhatan was 7, River was 3, Skyview was 5, and Woodsfield was 12. And again, that was just registration during those 2 days. We're going to share where registration is as a whole here in a moment. Any questions about kindergarten preschool registration or what went on during those days?
So these numbers are for both kindergarten and preschool.
No,
No, ma'am. These are just
Okay.
preschool registration numbers.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was only on that day.
Correct.
Registrations in the mail over
Okay.
several weeks.
Correct. All right. So currently, this is our enrollment for the 3 elementary schools where we have decided to add preschool classrooms. So this is current total enrollment from preschool registration, everything that's came in the mail, everything that we have in hand so far. So you see Bellsville first, and you can see it divided into K-ready age and your 3-4 age. Now, the gray lines that say incomplete applications means we've gotten something for the application, but it's not complete. For licensing purposes, for us to enter a child in a classroom, the application has to be complete. So we can't count them yet in official numbers because we are missing something important from their registration packet. So for K-ready age, you can see we have 11 for Bellsville with 3 3- and 4-year-olds. We have 1 incomplete app for K-ready age and 2 incomplete apps for the 3 to 4-year-old age. For Powhatan, we had 13 K-ready with 2 incompletes. We had 3 3- and 4-year-olds, and we had 4 incompletes. And then for Woodsfield, we had 12 K-ready age that are complete and ready to go, and 9 incomplete applications there. And then for the 3 to 4-year-olds, we had 5 that are totally ready to go and 3 that are incomplete. You can also see next to the school that we have listed what we would consider the recommended cap for the class. That means how many that we would take based on COVID restrictions, licensing square footage, and just what we feel is developmentally appropriate for this age level. That's a lot of information, so I'm going to let you digest that for a minute and see what questions that you have about those 3 schools.
Why is there, for Belleville and Woodsville, there's a recommended, but Powhatan is maximum?
Maximum. Recommended, and Joy, if you want to address this, you can, but I'll start out. Recommended would be ideal size for being effective with the number of students per teacher. You start getting really large classes, the room size may allow more students, but are you really being able to reach all those kids? Have you tried to put yourself in a room of 25 preschoolers and 2 adults? It's going to be a lot. So to be effective, that 16 is the recommended, but in Powhatan's case, there is no more square footage to put in currently 16 either.
So will you stop at the recommended amount, or you have to stop at Powhatan, because that's max?
Right. Joy, do you want to address that part?
Sure, I can. I believe I heard most of that conversation. I think you explained it pretty well, Jennifer. So recommended means that is what we as a preschool staff would recommend for those classrooms. In some classrooms, you can have as many by standard of 24. Some classrooms, depending on how large they are, up to 28. We don't have any classrooms within our sites that hold that many students because we don't feel like that's developmentally appropriate for this age level. We really recommend keeping Woodsfield and Belleville at 16. And then Powhatan has to be capped at 16 because of the size of the room, which is the same with Skyview that you'll see here in a few minutes. So really for us to accomplish with our team, what we want to academically and socially and what we're able to do with the students, we feel like 16 is the best size for those rooms.
So that's going to be the maximum capacity is the recommended?
Did you hear that, Joy?
I did not, I'm sorry.
So your 16 recommended is going to be the capacity for those 2, Belleville and Woodsfield?
That's what we would recommend. I think the highest we would even consider going in those classrooms is 18. We've had Belleville has been at 18 once before. But again, we feel like 16 is the best. So if the board would say we really want to push it to 18, we would consider that, but we feel like 16 is the best size for this age level.
And did we do a, I don't know what it's called, but when you get a price per student or cost per student, like obviously if we had only 3, like at River, the cost per student would be much higher. Not what their cost is, what
Our cost, right?
Yeah.
And I believe
Sarah's right.
our proposal, either 1 or 2 meetings ago, estimated 16 per classroom. Okay, right. Yes, it's a cost of tuition. Am I not following you?
Sorry.
I'm following you.
So like if it costs us $30,000 to educate them at River, we only have 3 students. Did we look at, obviously when the student amount goes up, the cost per student goes down. So did we look at it that way?
Kind of follow that.
Yeah.
You mean for the 16 or for a lesser amount?
Yeah, for less, we'd have to send it
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, like you can get the amount when you're at full class, but because if you only have 3 kids in a class, we're gonna have to determine, is it cost effective to have just 3 there?
And 3 up there.
So let's look at the next page, because these are the 2 sites that we were talking about, whether we need more space or how we deal with the extra numbers, because those 2 schools have limited amount. And before we go on though, I have Josh Ishii and Chantel Wicker here. If you have any questions about the Woodsfield space, they'd be more than happy to address any of the questions you have for your preschool at Woodsfield.
Josh, why don't you update them on, you and I talked about this space, and it's a little different from last time, so I thought that'd be helpful.
So if you're going by the blueprints, what was labeled preschool room is not what we use for preschool room. We've had to, those of you that have been in the building know, we've had to do a lot of shuffling around. So actually, based on the blueprints, the rooms that we have now that are using for preschool, they should be labeled B103 and B107. They're both right around 1,100 square feet. So You're talking about, and I know Joy had mentioned it was 35 square foot for students. We're well within, space needed for the preschool rooms. Also, I know we had, because we are tight for space at Woodson. You guys know that, we presented it. We we're fortunate. Mr. Simple and myself were able to work out a schedule for our ag science teacher where she can be housed at Monroe Central High School, and just like our Algebra 1 students go over to take the coursework there, we're able to have our 7th and 8th graders take the ag science, or at least our 8th graders take our ag science at the high school. So there will be no combining of rooms or classes or anything like that. There'll be some itinerant staff that have to share a space, but there's staff that goes into the classroom to support the students most of the time. So nothing will change with the addition of this preschool on how we run our building, except for maybe a location or two, just swapping spaces. So we're still in favor of everything that we can do, and I don't think any kids are going to be hurt. There's no detriment to bringing the preschool in. Positive. If you have any questions, I can. Hopefully, anyway.
Jennifer, I got a question. Maybe you guys know it on the Skyview. What was the cost to rent at Graysville?
We can get to that on the next slide, because we'll talk about numbers too.
Yeah.
And Joy can go back and revisit the cost on that one.
Yeah, 'cause we have another.
Okay. Anything else for the Woodstow campus? Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Josh.
Okay, go ahead, Joy, and go on to the next one for River Elementary.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Yep, and thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. We're going to move on to River Elementary. And when you look, go ahead, Ann.
Go ahead, Joy, you're fine.
No, I was just making sure you could hear. Go right ahead. She's going to give you the update. She did the pre-K registration there. Go right for it.
It kind of cuts in and out. So we looked at all the kiddos at River Campus, and we knew that was a concern for Mr. James because there are so many K-ready students that were on his list. So we broke them down by how many students are residents of that attendance area, how many are applying for intra-district open enrollment, and how many would apply for inter-district open enrollment. So, he has 15 students that have applied for preschool at River that currently live in that attendance area. As you can see, he's got 3 that want to attend there from other elementary schools and 2 that want to move in from outside of the district to attend there. And we have no incomplete applications for River at all. So looking at the K-Ready classes, he's got a lot of kiddos down there. As far as the 3 and 4-year-olds, we have no resident students applying for the 3 or 4-year-old class. We have 1 intra-district open enrollment student and 1 inter-district open enrollment student. Again, as we mentioned earlier, recommended based upon COVID rules, licensing what is best developmentally appropriate for that room size, we would like to cap that class at 16 students. What we could do is any K-ready students over the maximum of 16 could be given the opportunity to attend another site if there's space available. And honestly, at this point in time, our recommendation would be not to open a 3 or 4-year-old classroom for River right now and transport those students to Powhatan to their 3 and 4-year-old classroom. Something we could do just to start to build the familiarity is to have all the Powhatan 3 and 4-year-old students attend the same 2 days, and the River 3 and 4-year-old students attend the same 2 days. So they would be with children they're going to move up through school with throughout their years.
They would just all be on the Powhatan campus, right, Ann?
Correct. Yeah. Do you have any questions about that scenario, or is I didn't know if Mr. James was on or not?
James, are you in?
I have a question while he's connecting. The students, I know they want to attend there, but whenever, have they discussed with them traveling to Powhatan? Because if they happen to live out this way, would it be more feasible for them to come to Woodsfield?
Right.
I mean, depending on where they live and if they're going to ride the bus or be self-transport, I didn't know, we have no idea where these children live.
Right, so we could give them that option to attend any of the locations that have room for the,
Yeah.
and especially, like you said, there are some that might live closer to Woodfield, some that might live closer to Powhatan or Belleville.
Right.
And when there's space available, they could go.
And then, do you normally get more enrollments from now till school starts? I mean, is it possible that you would get, say the incomplete applications get theirs, and is it possible you would get another 4 to 6 apply between now and then, or is that not normal?
So
That is completely normal. Yes. Go ahead, Ann.
no, I was just going to say in the preschool world, this is actually really early for our enrollment. The free tuition in the kindergarten readiness classrooms have a lot of people excited. So we are actually seeing a boost in enrollment. Historically, though, we do see more children enroll closer to June and July.
Yeah, we do think we have the bulk now, but we do know that more will come in. I also wanted to mention with the incompletes, we have an intern in our office with the pre-K staff, and her job 2 days a week is to get these incomplete applications in for all of our districts. So she calls families, she receives documents, she adds them to the application. So we work weekly to get those incomplete applications in and follow up with all of your families and our other districts' families. So that's something we focus on to help those families complete that process.
So from a cost perspective, we would, with the numbers that you see right now,
Right.
we wouldn't recommend leasing additional space for River, but if we come back in May and those numbers jump drastically, we may need to have that discussion then.
I hate to discourage these people if there's a possibility we would have a classroom, but.
Correct. And again, it could be as simple as saying, we have 2 other elementary schools that we're going to host a 3 to 4 year old classroom. Which one would you like to send your child to?
Right.
So, it might be discouraging them that they don't get to be in River until they're a K-ready age, but they would still get to attend a class. And this
Right.
Disparity in numbers is normal too. Normally our K-ready numbers are extremely high. Our 3-4 year old numbers are low. And then we add more 3 to 4 year olds throughout the year, just parents who want to enter, or with early intervention meetings that Ann holds, students that qualify for services. Any other questions on River? Or I think I saw Mr. James join, didn't I?
Yeah, you're the host, so you'll have to let him in if he's not. If he's
I
waiting
did.
for the-
Can you
Yep.
hear me? Can you
Yes.
guys hear me?
There he is.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing this evening?
Hey, Mr. James.
Are there any questions for me from the board? I'd be glad to entertain them or attempt to answer them in any way I can. I don't hear anything.
Hey.
Any questions or concerns on the River campus?
I'm just asking questions. So if your max is 16, we have 20. I mean, I know maybe the parents really want them to go to K-ready, but is it possible that they would prefer them to stay on that campus rather than travel and go to the regular preschool? I don't know if that's preschool rather than K-ready.
I can answer part of that, Bev, if you'd like me to. I have spoke to a couple of those parents because they currently have some older students in our building, and they would prefer them to stay, somewhere along the River campus just for feasibility issues with pickups of their other siblings at our school building.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, I mean, it may work out that there's enough there for the two anyhow, with additional enrollments and.
Yeah, I do think that, you know, right now at this particular moment, you know, with it only being April, I know typically even with our kindergarten registrations in the, well, now 3 years that I've been there, they typically come late for whatever reason. I mean, sometimes we'll get as many as 8 to 10 more registrations through the course of the summer. I mean, obviously you get some people might move into the vicinity of the school, and you know, situations like that could be a separation of parents and the child come to live with one or the other parent in our school area.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eric. I think the only difference for us this year is the big push that we've done for registration so far. So we just can't tell you that the bulk will come in the summer. I think we'll get some more, definitely. But with the extreme push that we've done already, I think we do have a good base, but I guarantee we'll get some more. Yes.
And we've already gotten some of the students that had withdrawn because of COVID concerns for this current school year. Some of those kids have already applied for next school year. So we are getting some of those students back that, you know, lost due to COVID.
Yeah, definitely.
The K-Ready age class is already on campus on River Lake.
Right.
If you had the 3 and 4-year-old class, enough in that class, you would look at taking it to the Hannibal Professional Center.
If we had enough, yes.
Would you take the K-Ready too, or would you leave them?
If we only needed one class, it would just stay at the campus. It expands, and we need 2, then that becomes a whole different obstacle. It's a good problem to have. We want students there, but then we're going to have to decide how to make space and put 2 classes of K-Ready.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Sir.
All right, I thank you everybody for the invitation, and if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to contact me at school. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Jones.
You're very welcome.
Okay, Joy, you can go on to Skyview, and I have Mr. Caldwell here too, the other Mr. Caldwell.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, well, we will move on to Skyview. Okay.
Hey guys, someone wants to take one of these and pass them around, just some pictures there, you guys can, I'm gonna reference real quick. I don't want to take up much of your time, but I know you guys have talked about Skyview, I've heard from others, but you haven't really heard from me. You pay me to be the manager and instructional leader of the building, so maybe you should hear from me on the situation. So it's not just me that you're gonna hear from, I'm gonna try to speak through, and I'm not gonna take much of your time. Hopefully just 10 minutes is all I have for you guys. But I'm speaking through what I'm hearing from our parents, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles, you know, the people that are like, you know, what's going on, like, what are we doing? So, like, one of the parents, like, and I know them pretty well, use my words, just make it happen, just make it work. So, it kind of resonated with me. So, like, the pictures you're going to see there, you've seen some of these, this is an updated, like, the first one, for the sake of FERPA, I'm not going to really tell you any specifics, I don't want to really violate that, but these are all services that are provided either daily, or 2 or 3 days a week, or weekly. These are services that we're trying to find space to work every day. The first one you see looks good, but that's a locker room. You know, bathrooms in there, smells. But we make it work. If they could have their mask off, those guys would be smiling, and they would be looking good. The other one's a locker room as well. Services being provided in there because there's no other space, and every year we're like, hey, where do I go this year? Hey, we'll find something. We'll make it work. That's what we do. Next one is just a space that used to be our library. It kind of still is, but there's 3 different services going on in that room. If you look around, some of the times the teachers blend in with the kids, but you'll see 3 different services happening there, 3 different staff members at the same time. The space is tripled up with staff members. One of those staff members went outside because it was nice. It was cold that morning, so she went outside under the umbrella. So that's good. We can use that space when it's available, but that's not always available, you know, because of the weather. One of of them is just another room where we have 2 teachers doubled up in there providing services, and that happens daily, throughout the entire day. They're in there doubled up, providing services to those kids in that room. Another one is a closet, slash storage area that we cannot use anymore. We had to convert into a classroom. You see all the cabinets in there. There's things in those cabinets that are stored, but we can't use that space where the kids and the teacher are because it's a classroom now. That's occupied the entire day. One of them is actually the preschool room, which we're talking about. There's 4 staff members in there, and if you look in that one, you'll see our speech therapist in there. I'm not going to point out which one it is for sake of FERPA, but providing services in the classroom because there's no place for her to go, and she makes it work. But again, it's not ideal. There's really no space for her to go to do it. You'll see in a hallway, we use that space, that table's there all the time. We use it, anyone, an aide to provide intervention services, reading specialist, anyone, they use that table daily in the hallway. Another one, you'll see 2 staff members again doubled up. That is a staff break room, which we had to convert into a classroom because we just expanded, splitting rooms, splitting other classrooms, K1 and 2. We didn't have the space, so we had to use that space that was available there. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, because I don't want to have much, but you can thumb through there. One of them, the last one I think, or second to last, is our ag science we currently added. That she's using any space she can for her 3 classes, and it's usually on the teacher's prep time. We go in there and we just boot that teacher out, or they stay in there. That teacher goes to wherever she can find space to do her planning. We make that work, but again, no classroom, no space. And one of them, you'll see goodies in my office. That's hers, beef sticks and all that stuff. She has no place to store it. I bought her a cart. She's mobile. She goes around the room, but it's in my office. And some of those pictures is my office having services provided because, again, we have no place to go. And I'm like, all right, take my office. Let me get out of here. I'm going to go visit kids, have a good time. So why am I bringing this up? I'm for preschool. I think we need to expand it. I think it is important. I think a lot of kids, not all kids, but a lot of kids are coming behind. So I'm for expanding, but the problem at Skyview is the room, the space. So like I said, I want to speak to you through other people. So they're like, make it happen at Skyview. We send our kids to Skyview for a reason. We want our kids there. So I'm the one that actually proposed possibly looking outside of Skyview, like Lewisville Community Center. I'm not sold to Lewisville. I'm not married to Lewisville Community Center. If we can make it work, we can make it work. If we can find another space that's closer, that's better, that's less money, I'm all for that. Anytime we can save money, I'm for that. But if you want my top 3, what I would want and what I'm hearing from our community is we would like an addition there to solve this space issue and also expand preschool, expand the building. We all in this room know that's not going to be possible by fall if we started today. That's not a reality. I don't know where we're at on that process. I've been seeing things given to me about studies of space and per pupil room and square footage and all that stuff. I don't know where we're at. It sounds like we're working on it some. So that's the number 1, is addition to Skyview to solve the space issues. Number 2, which I was against, but I'm going to tell you, to the public here, the record, portables, which I know everyone cringes when you hear that, but trust me when I tell you, listen to the community, that's the route they want to go there right now to keep their kids at Skyview.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Now if you've heard different, we'll have a conversation, you let me know, but this is what I'm hearing from the majority. The problem there is where do you put them? That's a factor. Are they going to be close to the building? Are they going to be in the gravel lot? Are they going to be on the old track? Are they going to be right behind the building? And I understand why that's a factor. They want their kids to be involved and be close to the building. Number 3 would be another outside vendor or another outside place like the community center, a church basement, something like that. So that's the top 3 right there that I'm hearing from our community, and that I would be on board with as well. So.
What's your biggest opposition to going to Lewisville Community Center?
I'll be honest, some of the things are crazy that I hear. Everyone's, their babies, they don't want their babies going on a bus or, things like, and I get that. I have young kids, I get it. Some of them are, like I'm not even going to mention, but the ones that I'm hearing the most are transportation, being basically on an island, not having like a principal there, a nurse, other support staff. We don't know how many staff members are we going to need to make that happen at that location. Is it going to be 2? Is it going to be 3? 2 other staff members? What's the training? Things like that. That's the concerns from parents, and that's the concern from educators here as well. So that's probably the top concern is transportation, which the transportation at the community center is already kind of set up. Jason can tell you that. We have buses that go right by there to come to Swiss Hills, Monroe Central, and Woodsfield. So that is the easiest logistically to get the kids there. That's the easiest route. There's some other routes that we could explore, but would require change in busing, things like that.
Chris, I had calls, Jerry had calls too, didn't he, from
Yeah,
Skyview?
and what I told him is, you know, we're doing our best to get you the room addition, so we can get you on the agenda.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, you know, it might be 3 years, but I just want to get it started, no matter how we do it.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying, Chris, but I started looking in, I talked to Jennifer, and it's a good bit of money to bring a portable in.
Yeah.
And then you're still paying like $1,500 a month rent.
Yeah.
You know, and that was one thing that, you know, I just wanted to get it started. I didn't know what, you know, it was going to be. I thought, to me, you know, we're giving free tuition, and I thought, man, I'd, you know, be really happy with that if I was a parent. But I understand what they're saying, too, because, but then on the busing, Chris, if you got a kid from Louisville, he's going to have to get on the bus there and ride into the school. So what's the difference between busing from the school back to the, you know, there's all pros and cons here.
Right.
I was under the assumption, I just wanted to get it started. And by offering free tuition, I thought it would really go good.
Yeah.
And I'm for anything. And I understand the public, you know, I understand what they're talking.
Yeah.
And I agree with them almost, but, you know, I just want to get it started.
Right. And
if there would be classroom come up, we could send them out there right away.
Right.
You know?
And I agree with you on that, but some of the questions I get when we start having that conversations, we've had some lengthy conversations with some of our community members. And the one that keeps coming up the most is, well, you know, how, and I guess maybe I should ask you, how do I answer this question I get? We understand what you're saying, there's no space, it's a time factor, but how have we spent millions of dollars on athletic facilities and made that happen pretty quickly? And I'm just telling you, that's the questions that I get, and I don't know how to answer.
Yeah, but same with me, I didn't have to answer anything.
Very good.
That's why I called Jennifer.
Couple of comments,
Yeah.
couple questions based on what you said. And just in general, like maybe Jennifer, you can answer, what has our enrollment trend been across the district? Are we staying the same? Are we going up or going down? What's that? I mean, maybe you don't know that right.
Total enrollment?
Total enrollment.
It's about the same. It don't go.
Okay, stays right here.
It's got it on the board meetings, it shows you every meeting.
The next thing is, and I've just, you know, things I hear, I don't ask questions like you just, seems like we get a lot of kids wanting to go to Skyview. You know, nice, tight-knit community, you know, things like that. So are we getting more students open enrolling to Skyview?
Yeah,
That's just a question.
We have, and that's a great question. We actually have some preschool in the way your aunt can give you that. There's
Three.
I believe,
Yeah.
already. And those three.
Can she go to the numbers?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joy, go ahead and run through the numbers for Skyview.
So this is just preschool. To answer your question, we do have other ones that are open enrolled, but I think these three are siblings of ones that are already open enrolled.
So that kind of compounds the whole thing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying that I think we have to look at that kind of thing, that if it gets to be a capacity issue, you can't just snap your fingers and make room for somebody when there's a space issue, where we either have to find a way to have a different facility, or we need to deny an open enrollment thing because people in that area should take precedence. And I'm just saying, and then the other thing was,
I think Zach House would be clapping right now if you heard that.
I'm just saying, it just makes sense, and I realize you, the principal,
Yeah.
good for you that people want to come to school there, and your staff.
It's not me, it's our community.
I'm just saying, that's awesome, but in reality, do we spend millions of dollars building on when we have space somewhere else? Or maybe we don't, I don't know, I'm just saying, that's just the question. In my mind, that's what I hear, and I also hear the same things you're saying is, Skyview needs the room. I'm just saying it because we're talking about Skyview right now.
Yeah.
The other thing was, you know, we talked about the Louisville Community Center. Was that price just given, or was that negotiated?
Yeah, so Joy, you want to address that conversation about those rentals from Louisville?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can do that. So that price was given. It has not been negotiated yet because we did not have the go-ahead from the board. The price was given from their board of directors to me based on what they thought was appropriate. They did say it was up for negotiation, but again, we have not done that yet because we did not have board approval.
Remind them of the amount that they had
For
given.
Louisville, it was 2,000 a month.
And there are concerns, I think maybe some of you fielded those questions about the shape, the condition of Louisville Community Center. And I myself have not been clear through it recently. I saw some pictures of folks that have. And you know, I will go look at it, but I've been in there a lot. I mean, I live right there in Louisville. But I know there are concerns about what's in there, what could be in there.
Well, see, that was why I was going to ask earlier. If we're paying $2,000 for that building, and a portable would be less a month.
But you got your.
It wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Startup.
You'd have the startup
Yeah,
and placement.
It's like $150,000 to get it.
It would never break even.
You know, yeah, I never thought about the initial, you know, I didn't think we paid that much before.
And I think the other factor to consider is what is temporary. We all remember what temporary
Yeah.
was.
Huh.
High school age will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years, 20,
And
25?
to me, like, that's a hard sell as a, I hate to see, I
don't want to see portables
on the
either, but
administration through that whole consolidation. And,
but I know I had
like,
calls.
I pity everyone on that. I don't want that to be me, and I'm speaking that here. What is temporary?
But next question, and this is for you and everybody, Joe and everybody else. Can we just have a cutoff point?
That's actually what we've done with the April 14th.
I mean, and just stick
Then we'll
to
start
it?
assigning, and when it's full, if you have an option of going to another location, if space is available.
Now, let me ask you one more question. Are any of these 3 and 4 year olds, are they given any kind of screening or testing to see where they're at prior to?
So as part of being in preschool, we're required to do developmental screenings on all of the students.
That's after they're in the class. We don't screen them to allow them into the class. That's after they're in the class.
So it'd just be, you could have a cutoff date, and by that date, the first so many sign up, and we just say that, because we only have so much room. You see what Mr. Caldwell's saying right now, and if we inundate with that many more, is it really justifiable to take another space, another issue, another busing, another teacher, and a lot more money? If we just do a cutoff date and do what we do and go from there.
Good answer. And Joy, you might know the numbers more solidly than this. We have 19, I believe, K-Ready, which is the kids that would be coming to kindergarten the following year. And I think that our room right now, and I guess our building, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ann or Joy, if you can hear this, we can only do 15 or 16 in any room at Skyview, is that right?
Your room at Skyview, your current classroom by licensing standards can only hold 15 children, and it's very tight in there with the 15.
And if you can see the slide right now with numbers, so you were real close, Chris. So you have 12 residents who have complete applications in. You have 3 intra-districts and 3 inter-districts that have complete applications in, and then you have 4 more complete applications. So 22 total if those 4 incompletes would be turned in. And of course, we would start with the residents first.
And if you look at the last page, it says draft. According to this, we can't fit 22 in any room at Skyview because those 2 are our largest rooms and the capacity is 19. Which is why I included that in there. If you look at the arrow, K1 and 2 all have 27, 26, 27. Those are split, which takes up 3 additional rooms. If we combine any one of those, we're over max in our largest room at Skyview.
So if you look at the numbers on the slide, if you took your residents and your intra-district students, you would have a K-Ready classroom of 15 already today, not even waiting till April 14th. So at that point, then you would have to offer your inter-districts another building and those 4 incomplete applications another building if there was space. And then you have 8 potential 3 to 4 year olds, which at this point, we would possibly look at combining with the Woodsfield 3 and 4 year olds because you have 8 potential students there. So that's kind of where we are with numbers. And as far as the K-Ready class, it's full already.
Guess who gets to tell the parents that? Does that mean that your kid has to go to another building?
No, that would be us. We make all those phone calls. Yep.
And I don't blame them. Like, I want everyone to be at their home schools, but I know that sometimes there's factors that are out of our control, space, you know, I get it, and that's why I'm here, just to lay everything out to you, and have any other questions you guys have. Like I said, I don't want to take up your time. You got a lot to do. You guys are here at 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes. or later.
All right.
So if there's nothing else, I'm good, unless and you guys come out anytime. I know Ron, Jerry, you guys have been there, Sarah's been there, she read some books. Come anytime, I'll show you around, talk to the teachers, talk to our community, they're calling you, it's not my school, it's our school, so. All right?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
Okay, Joy, the what's next?
Okay. Okay. Anne, do you want to start this one?
Yeah, I will. Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I was having trouble hearing before.
I can hear you.
So we're really excited about these K-Ready rooms. At this point in time, when we look at the numbers, our belief is that we could take the 3- and 4-year-old classes and combine them onto Bellsville, Powhatan, and Woods. What we could do is we could bus the 3- and 4-year-olds to the closest school that has classroom availability, and possibly even have an aide ride that bus to and from school. So as an example, say Chris has 3 kiddos, 3 or 4-year-olds that need to go to Woodsfield. We can have someone ride that bus for a safety standpoint. So we have a driver and someone else on that bus to ensure safety of the youngest students.
Can I stop you right there?
Yes,
If we only got 3 students, couldn't you just use the van?
That's Jason. I was just giving you an example.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, because I didn't have the numbers in front of me. I was just giving an example for that one. But I mean, that would be something that we would have to talk with Jason if the numbers were low like that. Because I'm not sure what his routes are, because I know the van runs quite a few routes, if I remember correctly. But those numbers could change based on continued enrollment. So what we would recommend is that maybe we look at the numbers again at your May board meeting before making a final decision whether we should bus your 3- and 4-year-old students to another elementary site or to add one of the off-site locations for preschool.
Right, because if you don't have enough room, some of the students may want to stay in the preschool there. I guess that's something else we're going to have to find out.
Could you repeat that? Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
If there's not enough room in the K-Ready classroom, some of the students may decide to stay there in the 3 and 4 in just the preschool rather than go to a different building. I mean,
so as an example, you're saying if we're looking at Woodsfield and there's too many students applying for the K-Ready, could a K-Ready student attend the 3-4-year-old classroom? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Got it. That's something we'd have to discuss. I would think, yes, we could use our space wisely like that. Yes. So this last slide really just kind of recaps where we are. At the beginning, I know Jennifer shared with you the priority enrollment for preschool students that we went over and the out-of-district tuition. Jennifer, was there action on those tonight, those 2 decisions?
There will be, yes.
Okay, perfect. And then so the next meeting, really what we need you to consider, or I heard tonight also the talk of a cutoff date would be whether or not we're going to rent offsite locations for those 3 and 4-year-olds, or whether we're going to absorb them into the classroom space that is provided at Bellsville, Powhatan, and Woodsfield. With the recommendation tonight of making the cutoff date, that might be a decision you want to make tonight. It might be you talk as a team, we have further discussion, and you do want to wait till May. So that's kind of where we were. We want to hear and need to hear from you all what you think.
is Mr. Caldwell still out there?
Yeah, so Chris. Yeah.
Is there any other building that's feasible besides the community center closer?
If I throw it out, are we married to it?
No.
So just kind of thinking out loud, some like nearby churches, it is the church that I attend, Trinity, UCC. They have I've not talked to them, we'd have to talk to the council obviously and all those things, but it'd actually be, I would feel comfortable sending my child there. It's a basement, it's open, it's got an outside access just to the basement. They can lock that when they're in there, you know. I know some of the concerns there at Louisville was, security, safety, access to the building, that was some of the concerns. That'd be probably a little more secure.
Where is that building?
This would be, so it would be, on 145, go south on 145 out of Louisville. It'd be about 2 miles outside of Louisville. Before you get to my house, you know where I live, and you'll turn on County Road 18, and it's just a quarter of a mile out that road.
Yeah, you can almost
So
see it
it's
from
just
there.
a 3-4 minute drive from from the community center. I don't know about Stafford. I heard that maybe that church, probably wouldn't be the best. It doesn't have the room that Trinity does. I'm not sure about the churches right in Louisville, the Methodist Church, and I'm just trying to think of buildings that are close, that are accessible. So I could really come up with. But I did think of that, though. I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay. Looking at all options.
Thank you.
Joy and Ann, do you have anything else?
I do not. Joy, do you have anything else you want to add?
Oh, okay. No, I mean, I think when it comes to options, I mean, we can look at any options at this point where we are, and if we're going to stick with the April 14th cutoff, I do believe those 3- and 4-year-old students can be absorbed in your current spaces within your elementary school. That's just going to have to be a decision as far as cost, you know, what the board would choose to do if they want to look at a different offsite location.
Also, keep in mind that the typical 3-year-old only go twice a week. So you can get technically twice as many 3-year-olds in a space because they're coming 2 days in the other group than the other 2 days. There may be some exceptions where students with special needs are coming 4 days a week in those younger groups.
Yeah. Something else to think about, like at a location such as a church, and I'm not familiar with that church, I'd have to tour it, but in a location like that, even if you're paying rental, we would have to talk about school supplies and school items, because my thought would be those would probably have to be put away for the church to use their own facilities on weekends and for their events. So that might get interesting also if it's not a space that you rent that is specifically for preschool. Thought.
Right.
That's a good point. Also for security, that was one of the things on the proposal for the initial site was a new door, new classroom door, security reasons, and there's some other things that had to be done.
Yeah. So we spoke with our licensing agent and shared all of the aspects of Louisville with her once I toured it. And the things that were recommended in the proposal are things that she said would need fixed for our own safety reasons. And that did include a new classroom door that locked. And it also included a new lock system on the outside of the building that was controlled. So those 2 things were already in that first proposal. Ann and I would be glad to entertain any questions or any other discussions that you have on this. It's a lot of information.
It is a lot. That's why Superintendent went back to that recap page to help absorb where everything is. So we did not bring an action item for the expansion to other locations yet. Not even best to wait until May when we had numbers. But part of that will be addressed if we do the April 14th cutoff and those classrooms are filled, then we can send people to other places where there's room if they choose to go that route. So we're not turning them away completely, but we've got to keep those numbers in reasonable amounts.
Correct. And we make all those phone calls personally. Usually it's Ann or I, sometimes our secretaries, but we call families and we explain the situations. I mean, that's something that's typical every year with many districts. So we call the families personally and explain, you know, your first choice was this, but we are over the limit there. And so would you prefer your second or third choice if there's space in those locations? So that is a phone call and a conversation with the family by our staff.
And we do ask families to give us their top 3 choices. So we know coming into this what 3 choices each child wants.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, ladies. We appreciate your time. And Joy, don't forget to take the host back over to Tess.
Thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let me just say, when I was on campus for those 2 days for preschool registration, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and your kindergarten teams were so welcoming. I was so excited to be there, and staff was wonderful to us. So we appreciate that collaboration and look forward to it.
Sorry.
I'll wait for Tess gets back. So, all right, back to you, Mr. Winkler.
Oh, you're done with your,
Yes.
okay. We're down to consent agenda. Anything need pulled out or anything? I'm not gonna read them all. Any questions on any?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
On number 6, Rob, they're requesting an account for STEM be set up. I was just wondering why. I'm not familiar with that.
That's the STEM account that they're letting at River.
Mhm.
Just like some clubs set up an account, they have fundraisers, they put that
They
money
have
in those
fundraisers for
accounts.
STEM?
Yeah, and then they can buy and purchase things that they want. Yeah.
One last question.
Yeah.
The one about the trip to Grandview Park, are we?
That's
Number
number
8.
8 for the prom decorating.
That's a decorating committee, that's a handful of kids, it's not like a big class or anything like
I
that.
didn't know we were opening up to anything at this point.
I didn't either. For prom. We discussed the banquets and last time, and
Banquets with just the parents and,
yeah.
or do we use the protocol? I think Mark talked about the protocol we use for,
Graduation, proms, they
football,
follow
they're only allowed so many per
venue, yeah.
venue, the percentage of the venue. But I thought last time we talked about field trips and things like that, we weren't, I'm just asking, I didn't. Are we opening proms? Are we allowing proms, or is that up to them, or?
I thought we were allowing proms, because as long as we're following all the guidelines,
It's not in our venue then, so do we
they
have?
would be following those guidelines.
We don't have to say to that then.
Mhm.
If it's on, it looks like it's Grandview Park, it's not on our campus, it's not on.
No.
Yeah, but it's our
They already
function.
they already have.
We still have authority over it. Like if their guidelines were a lot looser than ours, I think we could ask them
Right, we could
to observe
enforce
ours.
stricter guidelines.
I believe
Because
their
it's a school
guidelines are a little
function.
bit tougher than ours, if you want to
Well,
know the truth.
I wasn't sure, it's just.
Well, that's why I was
I'm
asking.
pretty sure it is,
If that's,
if you look into it, they're a little bit more stricter over there than.
I would think they'd need to follow the most restrictive between ours and
theirs.
and West Virginia, yes.
Well, they done set their guidelines, and as far as people being there and everything, they got numbers. You're not gonna go over the number count, because they're gonna definitely, they're lots tougher than what we are.
I would like to know that for sure, though, like in writing or whatever. I mean, shouldn't we be, because if they're not and something happens, who would be liable? If we don't know that for sure, don't you think, better safe than sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would find out what their, I don't want to just say, just because someone said that their guidelines are stricter, and if they're not, or if something happens, and then who's that come back on? That's my question.
Can they come back on us for that? Or not?
They can come back on you for
They go over there
anything.
in West Virginia.
Yeah, anything possible.
I'm just saying, if you can get Grandview Parks, what their criteria is.
What their protocol and guidelines.
And like
are going
Bev made a good point, then you go by the
The most restrictive.
most restrictive. And then you're safe.
Yeah.
Thanks.
On the course catalog, Mrs. Badge, is it done, is there career tech classes? I was thinking we were gonna add programs or develop.
We did, there's a section in there for criminal justice that was added, and it should be in red font.
I printed this from a while, I printed this the other day. When did you add it?
I've added it 2 days ago. So, I have a page for you.
It's 138. Through. Just keep following the red ink.
Now, the one thing that is missing is the credit hours. I've asked Dr. Unger to help me with that. They will be no less than 1 credit, but some of them were 1.25 and some of them may be more than.
Is that just on the law and public safety courses?
Right, all the, I say criminal justice, it falls under law and public safety. So those pathways, which are identical, but the pathways and then the course description, if you scroll down to page 141, that's when the classes start that they're going to teach from that pathway. The first one with Mark Stills is the American Criminal Justice System, because they're listed in order of the course code.
Are we eliminating any classes out there?
Now, we were 1 program short this year from meeting our 10 that we need to have. So this criminal justice, or law and public safety is going to pick up that one, so we will be at our minimum capacity of courses.
So then we got to hire another instructor, right, for that class?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to instructor.
Students want to go online and look at, they go by the West Virginia guidelines, and it's online if you want to look it up, their guidelines.
Oh, okay.
It's for the whole state.
Oh, for Grandview?
Yeah,
Taking
so
courses.
you just go online and West Virginia guidelines, and that's your answer.
Those can change daily.
Yeah.
Those can change daily. Ours just changed, right? I haven't read them yet.
There was new guidelines for prom, it just came out this week in Ohio.
Summer school week. Was that, what you handed out at the meeting?
Right, that was our proposal for the ESSA funds in the CIP portal.
So the sophomore academy, is that a limited number?
There are, the number I was given yesterday, over 50, I believe, that have applied. Now, not all of them are, they have credits and able to go. When I talked to Dr. Unger, he was thinking it would be between 35 and 40 students as in sophomore academy next year, and they're preparing for 2 sections.
What's that mean?
So, right now, when they go to their academics, they're all in one group.
Okay.
And you couldn't put 40 kids in a classroom as with those for academics. It's going to be very, very tight. So they're looking at doing 2 different groupings for academics. Also, last year when COVID shut down everything, the plan was to offer phys ed over the summer for those kids that didn't get sophomore phys ed because they were at the career center. Well, now we've got some current juniors and some income next year's sophomores that will need that phys ed credit, and so that's one of the things we want to offer some summer school. And then some students want to go ahead and get the biology credit ahead of time, because that's a sophomore level class, so if they get the science credit out of the way, that's going to open up more for their day to get the industry credentials that they might be able to do dual concentrators or else actually get out in the field by their senior year.
Is Mark Robick out there? He left, okay.
Mark's not?
No, oh, hey, I didn't know you were here. You want to talk a little bit about Sophomore Academy? Yeah, so we were talking about the summer program, and then they were asking about numbers for Sophomore Academy, so I hope
Sophomore Academy, right now, we got 52, and those are applications on file with parent signatures, which that's a strong number. I'm guessing probably end up around 40, and that gives me two academic sections of 20. But once we get into that, above 25, it can be problematic for their classroom size out there. Of course, now those kids then are spread out amongst all the programs. They're not in one. We provided phys ed this year. We didn't have any juniors, seniors that are currently at Swiss Hills that requires phys ed, because we took care of that issue that has actually been going on for 2 years. And then we're looking at summer school to make sure these kids coming in have all that stuff ahead of time. That clears up time for their CPE classes.
Is basically the summer sport, could they get credit for phys ed?
Two seasons. If they do two seasons of school sport or band, marching band.
Is it high school?
In high school, right.
But they could do it in the summer as a...
Well,
It has to be a...
play basketball and baseball.
Okay.
So it
That's
could
it.
be like a club or something.
AAU team or anything like that. That'd be a
That's what I was,
sport.
yeah,
couldn't
I mean,
AAU.
sometimes they give more effort there than, during
Yeah.
school.
I didn't realize you were here, but if you could address the law of public safety being added and how we were, the invisible job of saying how we were under the number of overtime programs.
We had to apply for a waiver because we were under a required number of programs at the Career Center. When we did away with the band program, it caused us some problems. With this, then you won't have to apply for that waiver. As a matter of fact, with the COVID stuff starting to run out, we might not even have an option for a waiver eventually. So that would take care of that. It'd be a program that's pretty popular with kids. Made some contact with some local law enforcement people, and they seem to be excited about working with us on it too. So it's kind of going to be geared towards being an attorney or a prosecutor or criminal justice, those types of things. Now, if you look at the pathway with ODE, it also overlaps with EMS and stuff like that, which is a possibility in the future because of our med tech program. So not adding anybody else, but we should overlap some of that stuff too.
What's MS? Sorry.
EMS.
EMS.
Just math, I can't hear what I'm saying. Emergency medical technician. So.
No, but thank you for clarifying that, because I stumbled all over that one. I knew fun stuff, but.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You gonna pull any of them out or just leave it on consent agenda?
I just have questions about
Okay.
it.
No one else says anything else, we can take a motion on one?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Voting is open. Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Winkler?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Motion carried. Now, on old business, second and final reading of these policies.
I was wondering if, I didn't get through all of them. I know that a lot of them are dealing with the compliance officer language and naming them. But I didn't get all the way through them. I was wondering if we could postpone them.
Good.
Is there anything in there that's urgent? I apologize, I didn't.
That's good.
I would like to make a motion to postpone the second reading of the policies listed on the agenda.
Second.
Okay, voting is open. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Goss?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mr. Winkler?
Yes, motion carried. Discussion and approval priority for preschool student enrollment.
And that one is just how they allow who to enroll, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Good numbers.
Yeah.
And then making that April 14th cutoff so they can start filling their rosters, and then other students will be on a waiting list or given ability to go to another building. Most of our K-ready classes are filled.
If the cutoff doesn't mess them up, because she said there would be more coming later.
Right, because it says, after the classroom is a capacity, wait a minute, I'm sorry, back up. April 14th or until the classroom is filled.
Right, they would close it earlier.
Right,
Yeah.
right. If it's
Once
filled,
it's full.
then next week it's done, they go on a wait list, or they have the opportunity to go to another campus that has space. But if they're not at that cap, then we'll keep going as long as we need to.
So then do you have a wait list, like if someone signed up and then here they move before school starts? How do you handle that?
They stamp everything, they date it when they get the application, so they'll know who, and then, then they'll go down the list of contacts in that
Okay.
order. And then, of course, if there's, we move or a different district, we decide to do something different, and we'll go to the next person.
If there's no more questions, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Voting is open.
And we can, Jennifer, I'm going to jump in with you really quick if that's okay.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. Are we muted?
That's what we're talking, but how come we can't see them?
This is the way the screen is gonna go. Ann, you're muted right now?
One of them was talking.
I think it was Ann.
I was going to say, Jennifer did reiterate about the wait list. But we do enroll children year round if there is space available.
Hmm.
Can you hear me? I unmuted. Can you hear it now?
Yeah, we heard you.
So yeah, so we do keep the wait list by date. And we do pull from that if there is space available because we can enroll children all year round.
Okay.
Mr. Goss?
Yes.
Mr. Winkler?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Motion carried. Discussion and action on tuition for preschool students out of district.
Bev, you had an edit to that earlier during the presentation for the last sentence. The sibling must remain enrolled. And
Yeah. Did I read
if you want to rewrite that, then we can.
Mine has the same attachment for both,
It does?
or at least, unless I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Tuition. Oh, wait, it just updated or something.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll accept that.
So I think it's the last sentence. A sibling must remain open enrolled during the entire school year in order for the preschool student to receive free tuition. I think it just needs to read, the preschool student will receive free tuition as long as the sibling is enrolled in the school district, right?
Yeah.
Say that again, and I'll write down.
The preschool tuition will be free if the sibling is enrolled in the school district. Because it may not be in the same building.
Back to you. The preschool student will be free.
Will have free tuition.
Preschool student will have
Will have
free
free
tuition.
tuition as long as the student
Sibling.
sibling,
As long as the sibling.
Is enrolled within the
is
school
open
district.
enrolled within the school district.
Yes.
And then just take out that last sentence that
Do you
says
want to
care.
say is open enrolled or remains open enrolled? I think it's remains.
Remains.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Open enrolled in the school district. Okay. The preschool student will have free tuition as long as the sibling remains open enrolled in the school district. Take out that.
And then can you attach that once it's corrected?
Yes.
Motion approved, no more questions.
Second.
Okay. Put in addition. Mr. Best?
Yes.
Mr. Winkler?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Motion carried. New business, discussion and action on Rainsburg Stover and Associate LLC consulting service to assist the district in reviewing salary levels and developing updated salary schedules for the district's non-union staff. Estimated 17,000, 18,000.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second? No, it died for lack of second. Discussion and approval of third grade ELA curriculum, wit and wisdom. I'll make a motion to accept it.
Second.
Addition. Mr. Winkler?
Yes.
Mr. Best?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Motion carried. Did you look, there wasn't any money in the budget?
When we get down to the, if you guys refresh, I talked to Mr. Romick and he has, 7,000 and some dollars in there. So I crossed out what I need to transfer and he's going to cover the rest in his athletic. That's what he wishes to do. So you'll see that under my report. If you refresh, I went ahead and took that out. So there is no money needed to transfer right now. He's going to use what's left in his budget, plus use athletic funds to cover the rest.
So there's 7,000 in the field house fund right now.
Right.
And then the other 4,000 is going to come from the athletic fund.
Yes.
Is that Who's doing the work? Does that have to be bid out?
No, it's only 50,000, so it has to be bid out.
I thought we talked about anything you had to have a
Oh, I'm
plan and
sure.
all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be.
You can't just say, do it without a plan, right?
You'd be
Probably
better
get a
off
couple
going and get a
bids.
couple estimates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, or, if you're saying that there's money left in anyway, and then
Some of it, and then he's gonna cover
he's
the
gonna
rest.
cover the rest of it, so this is a moot point then.
Well, it was added, so I'm assuming that they wanted some kind of approval on it. I don't. But I don't know, I just know we don't.
I would hope he'd get a couple bids, so.
I mean, the district is technically employing them, that whoever's laying the concrete,
Well, I
right?
kinda thought if it's part of the field house project, would that be under the initial amount of money? Or is this something supplemental? to that?
Sounds like the 7,000 is, but the 4,000 is coming from the athletic center.
Yeah, so he's just saying, I'm gonna use the rest of that money and whatever, I'm just gonna try to cover it. But I'm saying, is that something that the company that built the field house is going to do, or is it something else?
No, I think it's something else, isn't it?
No, that's not something that, I don't think the company is
Yeah,
going to do. This is just going to be a separate project.
I think, no, it was, the blacktop was there, and I think they tore the blacktop up. You know, when the architect was setting stuff and that, he come up and tore the blacktop up and everything around it.
But the original contractor didn't have anything in their quote or anything of redoing that. So it's separate. That makes sense.
Yeah, but the money that's left over in what? The field house account?
That was money that was transferred over board approved earlier.
So it's still coming from that account, what I'm saying. So that being said, that's not something, that's just, they're using that extra money.
The remainder of it.
I'm kind of confused, like, what, if there was something said at one point, once everything was done by the contractor, the rest of the money would be transferred back to the general
can't
fund?
No.
Can't be?
Once it's in there, it has to stay, and you can only use it for that,
Okay, that's fine. I thought that
or
was.
something like that.
I thought that
It can be used for another permanent improvement.
To a different account, and if you move.
I just don't want it to get to the point where we're using the money and not supposed to use the money when it wasn't intended.
Allocated.
Allocated for that purpose. So it seems to me, that's where this is headed. If that was allocated for the field house, now this is a separate project, it can't be used for that. Am I right or wrong? Unless you come up, if we approved it and say, okay. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be put back into the general fund, but it's left over from the field house. The field house is done, they've pulled out, so this is something, a new project. So we have to start the process over, then that money shifted over to that spot to be able to use it.
Yeah, because, I mean, I understand the amount of it makes things different, but they usually come and ask for permission to do a project, then they get the bids,
That's
then
kind of how I started this whole thing, was, that's why I asked Gary about, do we have to get bids on this? Because this is all new to me. Maybe it's not new to
I
somebody
would
else.
think you'd get two bids, anyhow.
That's what I'm saying, so it has to be a separate project.
Yeah,
Why
it
don't-
is, it's definitely separate project.
why don't we postpone this motion and then get the needed information and fill in the blanks?
Or change it to discussion approval to bid concrete.
Around the field house.
Yeah. That way we got consensus that,
Or gain, or estimate.
right. Right, because you're not really bidding.
Right.
You're getting
Yeah, 'cause-
estimates.
Yeah, where did that amount come from? We don't have an estimate.
He got estimates.
You did?
And I think this was from Milan Engine, only Frank, for sure.
Yes, I mean, we've talked about that several times in meetings.
Yeah.
We need to have at least two
Yeah.
and go through the
Yeah,
process.
I don't know if he got any other ones or not, I just know from down on the ball field working, and they told me,
Yeah,
that.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I just had questions about it.
Yeah.
So
Did
you-
he not know that he was gonna need concrete around, I mean, what was the total
I think
field
that's what
house?
he said, the things got tore up.
We had good blacktop, because two-other club and everyone paid money, and I think Jerry even donated down there and had it poured, but when they come in the second time, they screwed it up, you know, blacktop, I thought, well, they messed it up, they should have fixed it, but.
I'd
Yeah.
say they have
They're-
to tear up certain things to get into certain things.
Yeah.
To restructure.
Oh, I thought you meant they did it
It's,
like by
uh,
accident.
Product of,
It was all in that one area where he was running that heavy equipment.
But wouldn't that be part of the scope of the project?
reclamation, you would think, unless
Yeah.
it might not in the bid. You'd have to go back and look at all
I don't think it
the,
was in the bid.
it might have said in there,
But
this part has been, gonna be used for transportation of a skid steer back and forth, blah, blah,
I
blah.
don't think there's
If it
anything in
doesn't
there that
specifically
fixes it.
say they will reclaim it, then you're out. I like that idea of change it to getting the bids or whatever.
I make a motion, we approve, to get estimates on the concrete work around the River Campus Fieldhouse.
Okay, but I got a question now. If, we'll have to wait till May meeting to bring this back, right? Okay, well, that's fine.
Motion to approve to get estimates for concrete
Probably
on
wouldn't be
the
done till
river.
summertime.
Yeah.
They got all summer to do it.
Motion to approve to get estimates for concrete around River Campus Fieldhouse, is that correct, Doug?
Yes.
Okay. All right, do I have a second? You,
Yeah, I'll second.
great, okay.
I think Greg did.
Yeah,
Oh, Greg did, I'm sorry. I ain't gonna jump ahead.
It should be, on your screens now.
Robert, they bidding River Bus Garage for a new roof.
He was getting,
Yeah, he's getting two pre-estimates. And they're all getting the same spec.
No, it shouldn't.
That shouldn't be over $50,000.
I don't know if some of that lumber or wood's gonna need
Yeah.
replaced, because I'm sure.
Really high. We might have to put that up to bid.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mr. Guy?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Winkler?
Yes, motion carried. Approval of March financial statements.
I make a motion to approve. I had asked some questions about when items were approved to happen, and they were before we changed the resolution.
The voting is open.
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mr. Guy?
No.
Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Winkler?
Abstain, motion carried. Approval of treasurer's report, items 1 through 3.
So I have two items on here. The one, if you refresh, you should be able to see, on item 2, I crossed out the transfer for the 11,000, since we are not doing that. That's crossed out. The other two are, grants, we're receiving new revenue for $500 and $2,000. And then on the item 3 is an invoice that we received for the Blue Sky Academy, and that is just approval of that invoice so we can get it paid. So instead of voting on each one, I added number 1. If you guys just want to vote for it all at once, that's fine, or individually.
I make a motion to approve 1, report items 1 through 3.
Second.
Okay, voting is open. Mr. Winkler?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Guy?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Motion carried. Adjourning to executive session for preparing, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
So moved.
I'll second it.
voting is open. Sarah, did you get your last? Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Winkler?
Yes.
Mr. God?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Motion carried. Let's, record. There it is.
He's coming.
Hey, I'd like to call this meeting back to.
Hold on, I didn't
Oh.
press my button. He usually gives us a thumbs up.
Oh, you said live.
Oh, no. I kicked out. Hold on just a minute.
Okay. Hold on, wait on Connie.
Yeah.
It logged me out.
He just gave us the thumbs up.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
I'd like to call this meeting back to order after executive session, and the time is 9:35. And I need another motion to go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
So moved.
Second.
Voting is open. Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mr. God?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Winkler?
Yes, motion carried. We're going. I'd like to call this meeting back.
Hold on. Go ahead.
I'd like to call this meeting back to order out of executive session at 10:12. And now we're going to skip the next executive session. And we're going to go to the next session for investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensed, or student. I need a motion, please.
Motion. So moved.
Second.
Okay, voting is open. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. God?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mr.
Their vacation.
We don't need the other executive session.
Oh, wait a second. You can call it back to order.
Oh, I'm calling his back to order at 10:45. I'm sorry. We don't need the other executive session. But now we're down to personnel. I'd like to take them separate. Administration. Is there a vote on that, please? I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, voting is open.
All of administrative?
There's just one item, right?
Sorry, I'm not
Yeah,
on.
there's one in there.
Oh, there's only one. I looked at it. I've never had a question on it.
Oh, that was in.
Mr. Winkler.
Yes.
Mr. Goss.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Motion carried. Now we're down to certificated.
So now,
That grievance is under
that
there.
grievance is on there, so do we
Yeah.
say everything except that, or?
Yeah, that'd be fine, we got extension. That's what I was just looking at, the last one on there. So I need a motion to accept all of that except for the action on the grievance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Bev Gar.
Voting is open. Sarah, are you getting a box?
I don't have a box now.
Okay, I got it. Mr. Shoemaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Goss.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Winkler.
Yes, motion carries. On this classified, Rob, I got a question, I've never seen this up before. We give leave without pay or for the reasons there, or? I mean, why is that on here like that?
Which one is it? Oh, I haven't got that.
Both of them.
No, it's just one.
One of them.
No, it's two.
Yeah, there's two on there.
There's two different reasons.
There's different reasons.
Pardon.
Yeah.
One's vacation.
One's vacation is,
And the other is illness.
So
Yeah.
she's the secretary at River Elementary?
Not illness. He took the son to the doctor. He didn't have any sick days.
okay.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
day there,
So the
Yeah.
second one, I'm assuming, I don't know what the OC, do they get so many vacation days and sick days? Was she out of vacation days?
She does not get vacation days because she's a 9-month employee.
Oh, so then you have to take it without pay.
And they get 5 personal days, but.
And they're exhausted. They
they
exhaust them.
it, so they might ask for,
Okay, that's why,
yes.
you know, I never did ask for a vacation day, leave for vacation day if you had other days.
If they have other days, they have to use.
Okay, but, okay,
They
explains.
exhaust their days.
Okay, explains. I make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Oh, Mr. Winkler.
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Goss.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Motion carried. Supplementals. Make a motion, we approve them.
The voting is open. Mr. Winkler.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Goss.
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker.
Yes.
Motion carried. We're down to substitutes. Need a motion, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Open. Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Goss.
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker.
Yes.
Mr. Winkler.
Yes, motion carried. We're down to adjournment.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Third, fourth.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. God?